What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you do that now. We're always talking about the latest sports news. Tap the bell for notifications so you always know when we're going live or when we upload a new video. Leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Here's the Fumble Squad. You guys, we are the gray gals today, the gray turtleneck gals, and I love it. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRayTheFanatic.
Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You guys can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. You guys, this is the first one of 2021, so I need you to say it loud and say it proud. Jackie, Devin, what day is today? It's Taco Tuesday! First one of the new year.
Okay. And I love it. I am definitely not having tacos today. I'm doing this meal program right now, which is, it's yummy, but it's like definitely difficult. So I'm going to be jealous of the tacos that you guys are having tonight. But anyway, you guys, full disclosure, I got into our live show this morning and Jackie and Britt were already matching in their gray turtlenecks. I was wearing a green shirt, but I had this shirt laid out because I was going to wear it, and then I decided against it, so I switched into it for the live show so that we could all be the gray gals today, and I love it. I love the matching moments.
I know!
It's great. All right, you guys, let's jump in with this first news story. So we're talking about James Harden. People are questioning whether James Harden is willing to sacrifice his own individual accolades, his own individual playing style in exchange for a better shot at winning a championship. So we know that James really wants to win a ring. That's his ultimate goal. I mean, I think that's every NBA athlete's goal, but especially James, which is why he wanted to get out of Houston and try his luck with a different team. So far, that hasn't happened, and it seems like those trade talks are quieting down quite a bit. So to me, it seems likely that he's going to be finishing this season with the Rockets. But an executive from the Eastern Conference was talking about James and whether he is willing to make some sacrifices in order to win a championship. And this Eastern Conference executive said, quote, "I don't think he is. James is like Allen Iverson. He wants to win his way and put up historical numbers while he's winning. I would never question their desire to win, but they all want to win on their own terms." And then a Western Conference executive had similar thoughts, saying, "It's hard for me to envision him playing any other way, and I'm not sure if that's him or the Rockets." So through the 4 games that he's played this season, he has averaged 33 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 10.8 assists for the Rockets. He's doing very well. But I guess the big question is, do you guys think he's going to be able to make sacrifices? Is it necessary for him to make sacrifices in order to win that ring? Jackie, let's talk to you first. Do you think that he would be willing to take a back seat some nights and, like I've been saying, make these sacrifices in order to improve the team? And do you feel that that's even necessary?
Backseat to who, though? You know what I mean? Like, if we're talking about Houston right now, backseat to who? He's the only person in the drive, you know. I get, you know, maybe the Chris Paul era, I thought that was their best chance at winning. And I think a lot of us thought that. I actually thought that the Russell Westbrook and him situation would not work, but it ended up working, with the exception of he just wasn't aggressive when he wasn't in control. But I think that's a coachable thing. I don't think that that is necessarily a James Harden thing. James Harden has never really been in that situation with somebody who, well, he's played with Russ, so that's not a fair, but you know what I'm saying? He's, as far as his career in Houston, he's always been the guy, you know? And I think that the Chris Paul situation should have worked. I think that if we're criticizing that specific moment in time, then you can kind of say these things like, oh, he's selfish, he doesn't do, but like you just said, he averages 10.8% assists per game. That is a lot. He's not hanging on to the ball. He's averaging 33 points and passing the ball. That is hard to do. People miss how hard it is to have that many points and pass that much as well. That is hard to do. And James Harden is successful at doing it. So at some point, look, every single superstar in this league wants to win on their terms. LeBron James wants to win on his terms. Dame Dollar wants to win on his terms. Everybody wants to win on their terms. But it's about finding that magic sauce, if you will. It's about finding the right ingredients for your superstar that works. Some of that I do think comes from coaching. And unfortunately, in this situation, no one has been able to say, hey, James, you're dope at what you do. You do pass the ball. You could get a little better on defense, and he is improving in that area. But somebody needs to just coach him up. It should have worked with Chris Paul. It didn't work. None of us expected it to work with Russ. So, but it could have. They had those moments where it could have worked, but then, both of them wanted to just peace out at the end. But I don't like this criticism of James Harden in that way, and saying that, oh, he's not willing to make sacrifices and take a back seat. Again, back seat to who? If you can answer that for me adequately, then we can have a conversation about that. But right now in his career with Houston, he shouldn't take a back seat. And when you bring people in, you're bringing in people specifically to say, you're taking a back seat. No one has said, hey, James, we're bringing in this guy so you can play second fiddle. That's not what they've said. They've said, we're bringing in this guy to complement you. He doesn't need to take a back seat in this situation. When he moves on to another team, then yeah, that's a conversation you need to have, because he's probably going to have to take a back seat. But as far as Houston is concerned, no, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He is getting the points and he's getting the assists. I don't like this narrative.
Yeah, I think it's about finding the people who can work with James Harden, not necessarily James Harden taking anything away from the way he approaches the game. There does need to be, I think, a little bit of flexibility with the superstar on a team, but you said everything exactly as I would have said it, Jackie. Britt, I want to ask you about this Allen Iverson comparison that the Eastern Conference executive threw out there. Do you think that it's a good one? And do you feel that if James Harden doesn't ever win a ring in his career, his legacy can still be as powerful and meaningful?
Basketball's a lot different from the NFL. The NFL, there's hundreds and hundreds of players that are Hall of Fame legend players that haven't won a ring, but there's not very many in the NBA, which is why guys like Charles Barkley always get teased and always get, stuff against him, because he never was able to do that. And everyone's like, oh, well, how many rings do you got? Well, I got 6, but you ain't got none, and all this kind of stuff. It's very a boys club in that matter for when it comes to championships in the NBA. Just because most guys there's not very many guys that have a Hall of Fame title next to their name and don't have a ring as well. So I think it is going to obviously hurt his legacy if he doesn't win a ring. But I do, to the point Jackie was saying about getting people, and you were saying about getting people like next to James Harden that could help. I feel like John Wall's been doing a good job. John Wall has consistently had over 20 points per game since he's been with the Rockets. And again, James Harden has been playing well too. I think they work really well together. I was, a little skeptical about it, but James wanted him there for a reason. They kind of grown up playing ball together, and I think he knew that he would be able to work well with them. So again, it's super early on in the season, but I think just seeing them already start to gel together and consistently both have good games at the same time together, not one having this amazing game and the other one only scoring 10 points or whatever. They've consistently played well together, and I think that's just going to continue to get better, because again, we always talk about, oh, we need a year to see the chemistry build. It's already there, and I think it's so dope to see in like 4 or 5 games already, So I think that John Wall being there is probably a really good move for the Rockets. I just hope that I just don't get, I guess I don't get the missing thing that these executives are saying, that he's not sacrificing or not trying or whatever. I think James Harden's like, honestly, probably for the lack of not having, the coaching that he wanted around him and the GM that he wanted around him, he's literally trying to build his team. He's like, come on, let's get that guy. I know I can work well with that guy. I know I can do this with this guy or whatever. He just knows his style of basketball and knows who he works well with, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, some guys tried it. Like Jackie said, we thought Chris Paul was going to be that mix with him that would have been perfect. It didn't work out, but it also happened during the same time that they were trying this small ball thing that just doesn't work anymore, So there were different pieces that weren't there to make a whole team, but I don't know. I hope that he does. He's still what, barely 29, 30, 30 years old, 31. I think he's 30, I don't know how James Harden. Something like that. Yeah, I think he's 30 now. But they just keep growing right before my eyes. But But yeah, he still has more than enough time. I still see him playing in 8-9 years left in the league. So I think he has time to win a championship. And because the league's getting more spread out and even, I think it'll be not easier to do, but it's not going to be, I feel like we're done with the super team era of seeing like 3 or 4 stars on one team. So I think if they can just figure out what they're doing, John Wall and James Harden, they could be next up. Not this season, but very soon.
I don't think it's a backseat situation. I think Britt's exactly right. I think it's I'm hearing myself super loud in the headphones, but I think it's more of a tag team situation with James Harden. I don't think you need him to take a backseat to someone. I think you need like a AD LeBron kind of situation where we're just kicking it together, and we love to play with each other. And I think that's what you're looking for with someone like with James Harden. I think with KD and Kyrie, one of y'all got to take a back seat, Kyrie, you know what I mean? But I don't think that James Harden is that type of player. I think if you can find a tandem like we have with John Wall right now, and if that continues to work, then it'll be good. But I still think the missing piece over in Houston is coaching. I've been saying that, and I still think that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, wait, did you freeze? Oh no, you're still, I thought you froze for a second. I couldn't tell if you were still talking.
I was like, no, I was just finished with my sentence.
I think that's a really good point. There's obviously multiple areas that have room for improvement with the Rockets. I think a lot of people were hoping that this would be James Harden's year. Maybe it will be. Maybe it's going to be next year. But like Britt said, there is still time. He's not retiring next year. He's not even close to retirement. So there's still a shot for him. Let's talk about the Eagles, you guys. So we touched on this yesterday. On Sunday night, Doug Peterson decided to go for a 4th down play instead of tying the game near the goal line, and then he benched Jalen Hurts for the remainder of the game. We saw his reaction in the post-up to that. And then, Britt, you talked about that in Britt's takes too, didn't you? Yeah, so that left everybody shocked. Fans watching were just shocked by that, and even coaches and athletes were just outraged by that move. So this is according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. Jalen was reportedly distraught after being benched. According to Bleacher Report, 2 defensive players had to be held back from approaching Peterson because they were so upset with the outcome. People are suspecting that Doug did this as a way of tanking to secure the number 6 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft with the loss, but that clearly wasn't communicated to everybody beforehand, which is why there was so much surprise with the way things played out. So Britt, do you feel that it's fair and totally justified for these players and coaches to be upset at the way things went down?
Absolutely, because as much this year, I was like, Cowboys just lose all the games now, like at this point, so we can just get a high draft pick. But if I would have actually seen my team purposely do that, which the Cowboys didn't, which is why they tried to fight it out each and every second to the very, very end, even though for beginning of December was like no chance in heck, and literally won games in December and was doing well enough to be able to almost win the division at the very end. Like, you just don't. Seeing actual team and actual coaches actually do that is just like beyond me. Like, me as a fan, I can be like, okay, let's just forget it. Let's just lose so we can get a high draft pick. But I've never actually seen it happen so blatantly until that moment. It was crazy. And honestly, my Cowboys doing what we did and still having a higher record than the Eagles would have if they would have won. We still got the 10th overall spot in the draft. Like, you're not moving that many spots in the draft in order to lose your integrity like that. Like, it's just pointless to do something like that in that situation, because okay, so you would have moved to an 8th seed instead of a 6th seed, like, because you still would have been lower than the Cowboys and Cowboys got number 10. So, like, for you to do something like that for like 2 spots in the draft is beyond me. I don't know if they're gunning for a quarterback again or something like that, because that's the only reason why you would try to get one of those top spots. And from my knowledge, there's only 2 other teams that even want a quarterback in the top 10, or maybe possibly will get a quarterback in the top 10. This is not going to be a quarterback heavy draft. And I get you maybe want your Justin Fields or your Trevor Lawrence or whatever, but you ain't getting those guys. Those guys are going to be gone by the time we get to 6 anyway. So just to see the integrity of that coach literally be like ripped apart for like maybe a couple extra spots, like you still are going to be a top 10 draft pick is crazy to me. Like,
right.
And the players, the NFC East is just so we all hate each other. There's not a division that hates each other more than the NFC East. Other teams will have maybe another rival, a little banter here, but NFC East hates everybody else in the NFC East. That's just the way it goes. So for the Eagles to purposely lose the game against another NFC East team, the players, of course, they're going to be mad about it, because this is going to be the crap talking that goes on forever and ever. Oh, yeah, y'all was too scared to play us, so you guys lost on purpose, and y'all da-da-da-da, and you guys are chickens, and you guys are whatever, all this kind of stuff. Like, that is just, like, nobody wants to go out like that. So I get why the players are so upset. I get why the fans are so upset, because, like Jackie was talking about yesterday, no fan wants to sit there and watch their team do that. Like, that is, like, there's fans that probably still bet on their team regardless. Like, it doesn't even matter how annoying the Eagles fan base is. Like, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Eagles fans were literally licking horse crap. I did a story about it. They were licking horse crap because they were so excited they won the Super Bowl. Like, they're insane fans. And so tanking a game is like nothing they want to see or hear of. And like, you just don't. It just all around is just bad. And I wouldn't be surprised if he walked down a dark alley and got jumped or something. Like, I really wouldn't. Coach, like, watch your back, my guy. Especially you in Philly still.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, Britt. Jackie, do you feel like all of this drama and outrage could have been avoided if Doug Peterson had just talked about this plan ahead of time instead of just throwing everybody for a loop during the game? Or do you think people still would have been upset regardless of any notice they had been given prior?
Doug Peterson is an idiot, because there is something in play right now that if he really wanted to do this, he didn't even have to do a plan. He could have put Jalen on the COVID list and just said he came in close proximity with somebody. There is a pandemic that'd give you this way out, so none of us would have questioned it. We would all been like, dang, that sucks. He's on the list. You know, you could have done all of this beforehand, but you did it and it was with malice. That's the thing. It wasn't even like if he would have done little things here and there throughout the game, made stupid bonehead calls, and yeah, we would just be calling him a dumb coach, you know. But it was with malice. You had an opportunity to win and you blew it on purpose. I saw someone in the chat. I missed it now, but they asked if they thought it was going to cost him his job. I don't know. I think it should. I think that there should be a definite fine for this. Not only him, because here I saw some, I don't know who it was yesterday I was talking to about that, but they said, you know, you never know where the call came down from. You never know, was this a coach's call or did, you know, this come from the GM or the owner or things like that. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with Doug Peterson, because I don't care who calls me on my headphones and says, hey, tank the game. You can hang up and keep moving, because no one's going to know that the GM or the owner called you. They're going to know you made the call. And I'm just not going to put myself or my guys in that position where they can look at me as the leader of their team who's cool with losing on purpose. It's just a bad look all the way around. I agree with Britt. I would definitely, he needs to take advantage of this pandemic and wear a mask, a full face mask at all times, walking around anywhere in Philly, because Philly fans are crazy. And a beatdown is justified right now. So, he's an idiot.
He really wanted there. I mean, what is the other outcome here? So, like, if you were blowing them out or something, then you would have like been okay, happy, like to win, whatever. Like, I'm confused, because at this point, if you're getting to a place where you're about to win, you could possibly win the game, and then you decide to tank at that point, it's just like, why didn't you just do that at the beginning of the game? Why did you not go into the game? Let the players know, hey, y'all, I'm benching all the starters today. Nobody's going to play. We're just going to, like, go and get this game out of the way and not get these guys in a position where like, hey, yeah, we could win this game. And like they're adrenaline rushing and them in this like good spirit of like possibly winning, even though they know they're not going to win the division. That's not what it's about. But getting them in this place to work their butts off the first, 2.5 quarters of the game and then go into a situation where like, actually, no, we're not going to win. Just go like, what? We're about to tie right now. What do you mean?
Right.
Like, why are we doing this? Like, tell them beforehand that they ain't playing because we saw other teams do that. Other teams, we knew the Steelers did not care about that game against the Browns because Big Ben didn't start. You go into situations where players know we're going to play this game because we got to play this game, but we're not going to worry about winning. If we randomly win, good for us. If not, we don't really care because we're going to make sure you guys that are our starters or whatever, you guys stay healthy. That's how you do it. You don't do it in a sense where you have your team that's worked their butt off and you get to the middle of the third quarter of the game, and now you want to like, never mind. Like, I'm going to take you guys out, and I'm going to start doing these BS calls, and I just want to practice with another quarterback and do all this stuff. No, I'm already prepared to win here. I put my game music on before the game. I meditated. I'm ready to win. What are you doing? Like, and I think that is why his players wanted to beat his butt. If they would have done that beforehand and decided beforehand, hey, y'all, we ain't playing today, then that's what it is. But to do it the way he did it is, like you said, Jackie, with malice.
Yeah, and I would have snitched. If the call came from on high, I would have snitched. I'd have been all in my post-game interview talking about, that call came into the headphones. Yeah. The GM told me to do it. This was not me. Yeah. And as much as you don't want to, sell out your upper management, in this situation, you have to. Because, again, you got Jalen all on the sideline saying it ain't right, it ain't right. You got defensive players that are mad. And at the end of the day, they don't look to the GM. The GM is not their mentor. The GM is not the one who motivates them when they're out on the field. It's you. So you have to put yourself in a position where they can trust you. If it came from on high, he should have said it. And if he didn't say it to us publicly in his postgame, he should have said it in the locker room. But those players should have known that it didn't come from him. And the fact that he didn't say it, and we're not getting those rumblings, we haven't seen Adam Schefter say, word in the locker room was, we didn't see none of that because that's not what it was. This is all on him, and he needs to own that.
Well, and very, very openly said that was his personal call. That was the call that he made. So he took full responsibility for it. So now this is what you got to deal with. Your players not trusting you, not having faith in you, and not believing that they have faith in that, or vice versa.
Players having to be held back from fighting him. Yeah, I mean, he definitely ruined the relationship between himself and his athletes, and that's going to be detrimental for sure if he's even keeping this job. Like Jackie said, I saw that comment in there as well. Like, who really knows now at this point? But you guys, that wraps up Need to Know News. So Jackie, take us into the post-up.
All right, let's get into the post-up 2021. I got to practice saying that because I still am writing 2020. So I'm going to make myself say 2021 so I can get in the better habit. But we all talked about that 62 game with Steph. Steph last night, he was back to normal. He was scoring 30 points against the Kings to help the Warriors get another victory. I'm not sleeping on Steph's 30 points. I don't want to see nobody in the chat saying, oh, no, I'm not sleeping on that. 30 points is good. But it's not a 62-point night. We'll all be talking about this for a long, long time, but we'll forget eventually. And you know how I know this? Because we forgot that Clay did a 60-point game in 2016. He actually had a late thought about that. He originally congratulated Steph. He posted a tweet to Twitter saying, "Sheesh, Steph Curry, welcome to the club big, bro, 62 points." But then he thought about it and was like, wait a minute, I only scored 60. Steph scored 62. He broke my franchise record. And then he posted this to his Instagram, which is the perfect response.
That wasn't very nice.
I love Clay for this. That was so perfect. That's one of my favorite movies. I love it. Get well soon, Clay. We do miss you. But that was a perfect response for this. Now, look, this next one is hilarious to me. Okay, because for those of us who create content, you know that we always kind of take the easy way out. We'll make graphics and just leave them. We might change out pictures or change out text or something like that. But there's no way that I believe that 46 games in the 2017-2018 season that y'all are still using that graphic, because that doesn't make sense. But take a look at this graphic. I don't know if you can see that right there. Dwayne Wade, you guys. It says Dwayne Wade. And he chimed in with like, I hope he has a better career in Cleveland than I did. You were only there for 46 games, my guy, but who made this graphic? I can't make this make sense. There's no way.
Yeah, what happened there?
I don't know. I don't know. I watched that and I was like, I can't make this make sense. There's no way this graphic was just sitting around with Dwayne Wade on it. And there's no way you're saying he looks like Dwayne Wade. So I don't know.
Probably
I don't know, but you know.
This is like the opposite of like, you know, when they're like, oh, if it was another black guy, I'd be like, oh, so all black people look alike, but it's like a white guy, so it's like epic.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's like, dude, my guy has a little baby mohawk. What is happening right now? It's hilarious. But I think Devin is right. I think it's an intern. But yeah, so look, this next one is hilarious.
It was an intern. He's fired now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it was the intern, he's not going to get the full-time job. You can just go ahead and work on your resume right now, my guy, because that was terrible. But
get the class credits and keep moving.
Yes. All right. So look, not that long ago, we talked about poor Luka when he was trying to get his little dab and he just held it out too long. And now I think he's like a little over-conscious about that, because now he's doing everything he can to make sure James Johnson doesn't get left hanging. And it was a complete fail. But it was Luka, so I'm gonna allow it because he's a baby goat. But this was a complete fail. Take a look.
Looking against Tate.
All right, here comes James. Give me the dab. Give me the
It's COVID. It's COVID.
The effort was there. The effort was there.
Oh, that was funny to me. Good try, though. Good try. But at least you know that Luke is not the type that just wants to leave his teammates hanging. So I'm still going to give it to him for that one. But now, look, now we're going to move on to Kelly Oubre. I love him. I think it's more of his style of dress, to be honest with me. The boy is always fly. He always looks good. We're never going to have a conversation about he shouldn't have worn that or what was that. He's always clean, and I love it. And he fits right into the Warriors culture, because yesterday he shot, 4 for 6 from beyond the arc last night, getting all these threes. And then he kind of got a little savage with it and decided to kiss him goodbye. Take a look.
Kelly Oubre looked down at the line. He's made 3 threes.
He's blowing kisses too at the Kings.
I think it's the commentators that make that. He blowing kisses too? We out here blowing kisses? Like, yes, we are. We're blowing kisses.
They're
I love
petty.
it. They are, right? I feel like the announcers live for these moments where they can just throw salt.
Yeah, I feel like Devin would be a good at that. Just being like throwing the little petty jabs, but like, I wasn't really being petty. I was just saying what was happening. But then she started this beef between these two people, and she can just sit back in the announcer's booth and watch. Like, yes.
And Devin would be like, so like she would say it and like keep it moving until like the end of the game. The guy would be like, wait, what did she say about me?
I like this. I take it as a compliment. Also, in this whole imaginary scenario, can we throw in me getting married to Kelly Oubre too? Because like that would just really tie it all together.
Yes.
Yeah, you can have it.
I'm down with that. I'm
If
down
you
with
get
that.
him, I get to keep Jimmy G. I can keep Jimmy G.
You wanted Serge. We talked about this. I thought you were going to
Yeah, you want Serge.
Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo can be my white boy football player, and Serge is on my team, so I can get Clippers tickets. Duh. I have different, I got them in different area codes. Y'all know how the song go.
All right. Okay. All right. I have to get my area code game up because, all the guys that I think are hot are married, so they're off limits for me. So I'm gonna have to find me a cute
Kelly Oubre is married.
Girl, Devin, see how she comes back at the end? Like she said what she said, and then she came back and we're like, wait a second.
Look, both of us was like, "Oh, wait, what? Okay, let's see. Perfect example. Perfect example." I'm gonna give you all the opportunity to throw shade on this next one because I think shade is warranted. So I just want to refresh everyone's memory because we talked about this last month. So this is the city jersey for the Heat. Now, when we showed it last month, we said it looked like the Go-Gurt or whatever the yogurt was. I said I didn't know how I felt about it because they have the similar lights in the background, and obviously that wasn't going to be on the court, so I had to see them in action. I was absolutely wrong. These jerseys are trash, and it's partially because the court is trash. This is too much. The court is the same color as the jerseys, and then y'all even had the unmitigated gall to do the font for the game in the same. This is too much for me. This is way too much for me. I didn't like it at all. Devin, what do you think? Now that you see it, it looks just like it's too much for me.
Yeah, so I liked the jerseys. When we first saw the jerseys, I thought they looked cool, actually. And I know they got a lot of hate, but seeing that court, I mean, I feel like you look at that and you can't even really see the players because it's just too much bright colors, too much saturation all happening at once. The court was a bad idea. They should have done something way simpler for the court.
I have one Twitter response to it that I thought was perfect because for me, when I see too many sweets, it makes me sick to my stomach, and that's what this looks like to me, a whole bunch of sugar on one court. This is what the jerseys make me want to do. It was too much. I didn't like it. So we just, yeah, I know that's too much. That's too much, but yeah.
Okay, watering the grass? What is happening here?
Girl, too much water. That used to happen to me when I was running track, when I drank way too much water before a meet, and then once the meet was over, the water always came back out.
He's the umpire. He ain't even doing nothing. He ain't running, Jackie. He's a big umpire.
He's a big umpire. His whole presence right now, and he's in all that gear, and it's probably hot. There's a whole lot going on in that picture. Britt and I have it. All right, let me go on to
they should have done the court black. I think a black court would have been clean. With just like
way better.
Make the colors pop.
Yeah,
but that whole I ain't like.
I think they listened to you, Jackie. Though
they did.
I think they listened to you because originally you were like, "Oh, I like it. It's okay with the background being that color." But then once they get to the court, it's going to be clashing with the court, and they probably heard you say that, and they're like, "Well, let's make the court like that too."
Oh, so it's my fault. This is my bad then, y'all. This is my bad. I did think it looked okay in the picture, but okay. All right. Do better, Heat. That wasn't it. But look, so we talked about, that whole Doug Peterson and what he did. And this next one is pretty deep to me as it relates to that, because I think, I actually really have a lot of respect for Joe Jebb because he called out Doug Peterson about that. And one of the things he said in his speech, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's all over social media. You should go check it out because what he said is like, there's a lot of guys that had to opt into this. There's a lot of guys that have left their family and they're putting their bodies on the line. These are guys that are going out, taking hit after hit. So there's no way I'm going to disrespect the choice they made to play this game and just not cheat like that, but just tank the game like that. There's no way that I'm going to do it. And I have a lot of respect for him because if you haven't seen Reggie Bush's Instagram, please go check it out. Reggie Bush, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's an amazing running back. He was drafted by my Saints. He is 4 years removed from sacrificing his body for the game, and he is it's still wreaking havoc on his body. Like I said, go watch it. If you were considering playing football or if you don't understand why we kind of go so hard for these players, go check out. It's like a 3-minute long thing where he's telling you about all the things he's going through. He says his wife has to carry him to the bathroom sometimes because his spine will give out and he can't walk. His shoulders are all jacked up. He just had another surgery. It's a lot, but I want you to kind of get this point that he's driving home in this clip. So take a look at what he had to say.
Times where she had to carry me to the bathroom because spine was hurting too much. Some linebackers I didn't hit that I shouldn't have been hitting, or whatever, man. But y'all got to be okay with this right here, man. This is it. So keep it all in perspective. Understand what it is. I want y'all to get that money. Please go get that money. And this is why it's important to get as much money as possible while you playing. This is why.
So that's the message. Again, go watch it because I think it's an important message for everyone to hear. You know, whether you like the game, thinking about playing the game, or you've got kids that you might put in the game, it's a very important message to hear because we've talked about this time and time again, how people really are facing long-term physical ailments after the game. So I don't care if you change teams 9 times to go get that money. Go get that money. It's very important because you're going to clearly need that money to help take care of you and your family when it's all said and done. So shout out to Reggie for posting that because I think a lot of guys stay quiet about that. So shout out to him for posting that. I'm super happy that he did that. But this next one is like a mini what we not gonna do moment because I feel like every week someone in the chat gets mad at me because I say this time and time again, when you are an athlete and you're making this kind of money, don't get that trophy girl because she's a trophy to you, but she's looking to anchor herself into you and your money sometimes via a baby. So you got to be careful. And if you don't love her and you don't want to be with her like that, there are a ton of ways where you can avoid getting her pregnant because she might just be trying to anchor herself into your life and your money. Now, Von Miller, you guys know I've talked about Von Miller a lot. I love Von Miller. I think he's a great guy. If you go to the Mile High City ever, Von Miller is definitely endeared into that community. They love him a lot. So this next one is tough because it seems like he's gotten himself into the very situation that I talked about. And I think I'm a little pissed off about it because of how it came out, but we have a panel full of ladies, so obviously we're going to talk about this. We're going to have some discussion. But he's apparently involved with a woman named Megan Denise, who sent Von Miller this picture to let him know she was pregnant. Aw, that's so cute. Just us, little baby in there in the womb. That's cute. But Von Miller is clearly not into her like that because he did not respond to her the way that she wanted. If you look down, there's a lot. She says, since y'all want to know, here's y'all's MVP. She's calling to Bronco country at that point, I think. But she says, at the bottom, he says, I'm honestly praying for a miscarriage. Obviously, if you're pregnant, that's very hurtful. And then this next one, things got like way out of hand. There was one other before this, but it was just too much cussing on it. But she says, tired of protecting you. This is who you are. Cut it out, kid. And at the very bottom, you can see he says, I hate you. I wasted my time effing with you. I should have left you long ago in the streets. You're going to get yours. Believe that. So I don't like that. You're going to get yours. Believe that at the end, because that sounds very Ray Caruth to me. And that's what we not going to do. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel about, I don't like her putting it out there. I don't like him responding to her like this. And then one of the Twitter users who's helping like spread this whole thing, she had a response to it, and she says, I've loved Von for as long as anyone in Bronco country, and I feel for him that he's being put on blast for private matters. But on the other hand, I'm sure Megan is done with everyone putting him on a pedestal when this is how he really acts. So these are two separate situations. You can literally put Von Miller on a pedestal for what he does for your team and how you feel about him as a player. This is a private matter with him and the woman that he's intimate with. I can feel how I feel about him because I'm not intimate with him. I don't like that these text messages were made public. So my first question is for you, Devin. Just looking at the overall, how this is playing out for all of us to see, and this is a private matter, how do you feel about that?
I mean, those texts, reading them, they really I find them hard to read. I think it's extremely painful, and I don't know, this is such a private matter, and I do think it's a little bit odd that it's being put on blast and made public in this way. But I also would understand why it would be so frustrating for her when she's receiving these horrible, awful messages about her pregnancy, which is like such a vulnerable and like supposed to be such a sensitive and touching moment. And then meanwhile, you know, everyone around her is just acting like he's the greatest thing ever. So I guess I could understand the motivation here. I don't know, but it is a very difficult matter because, you know, his career and who he is as a private person are two different things. But for me, it's really hard for me to just like wrap my mind around how anybody could say something so nasty about their own child.
Yeah, and I felt like, again, I've always said that some of these women are out here trying to make these anchor babies, and if I was messing with an athlete who wasn't really feeling me like that, there's ways that I could protect myself to make sure I don't get pregnant. And so both people could have prevented this from happening. So she's just as culpable as he is. He clearly doesn't want it, and now she has to deal with that. So I think that that's a private matter. But Britt, my next question is for you. As much as I probably fall on the side of Von Miller, because I always usually fall on the side of the athletes, because I feel like these women know what they're getting into with these athletes, that last comment that he made of, oh, you gonna get yours, again, that sounded very Ray Caruth to me. That sounded very threatening to me. Do you think that Von Miller meant it as a threat, or if she takes it as a threat, would she be wrong to take it that way? Britt, that's questions for you.
Well, I don't put anything past anybody, and because of the Ray Caruth situation and him being a star and all of this kind of stuff, and now what I believe he is either getting out or just got out of prison back in October. But he spent 18, 19 years in prison for killing a woman who was pregnant and hiding in the trunk of a car to try to get away from it and go to another, or Mexico or something, didn't make it past Tennessee. And the baby still lived, and the baby has mental issues and all
terrible.
this kind of stuff that it's had to deal with, and grew up with no parent, had to live with the mother's mom, so his grandma his whole entire life, and has this thing with I remember watching this whole story about the grandma wanting the child to still meet his dad, because he's like, he doesn't even have a parent. But then you're looking at your dad like, first of all, you did this to me, you made me suffer these my mental illnesses that I have, and you also killed my mom in the process. So I never put anything past anybody, especially football players who have, you just did in the last story about Reggie Bush and his physical things, but a lot of football players have mental things that have, they have issues with too, which is, I believe wholeheartedly in part why OJ can be this beautiful, great man 1 second, and then supposedly this horrible person that could do crazy things. Aaron Hernandez, the same situation, because they have mental issues because of those hits that they do. So I don't put it past anybody for anything. There was an update to this story, which will air right after the show, that I did. And Von Miller just posted, and he said a response to it, and he basically just said, this is fake news. People start acting crazy when you try to leave them, because this wasn't just a random girl. This was his ex-fiance. Right. He's been with her for a long time. And the question I did have, though, is what is fake news? Is the whole pregnancy thing fake news? Is that something that's not real? Or are just these messages that are supposedly sent from Vaughn, are those fake? So I don't know. It's like the story probably, I'm sure we're going to have an update again tomorrow about it, because I'm still confused on what's going on here. But if there is a child actually involved, this is very sad, because stuff lives on the internet forever. So this child will one day see these messages, whether they are true or false. So if they are false, that's bad on the mom for putting false messages out that her baby daddy said about her child, because the child is not going to know if those are real or fake or not in the future. And if they are true, that is really sad to see that Von Miller would feel like that about a child. So either way,
I agree
horrible,
with
sad story.
Yeah, I agree with Mamba Machine in the chat. He says if the baby lives, the baby might grow up to see those text messages that as they are now public. How would the baby feel knowing that he wasn't wanted by his or her dad, and the world was cheering it on as well? So I get that. Seeing some of the text messages that came before that, I definitely do believe that Von Miller sent these texts. So I'm with you, Britt. I'm like, what part of it is fake news? Because did she fake her pregnancy, or because the text messages look very, very real to me.
Which is possible,
Right. So we'll see. We'll keep up to date on that one. Let's switch gears and get to something a little bit more happy before we get into what we not gonna do, because I need to know. First of all, I told y'all about this. I don't work out that often, once a week, but when I do, and if I go outside and I wear a mask and I'm trying to do my jog or whatever, I cannot do it when I'm jogging. I just can't breathe like that. I will pull it up if I see someone coming close to me, but if I'm by myself, I just can't breathe like that. So the thought of having athletes play in mask is ridiculous to me. But what's more ridiculous than having athletes play in mask is having them play in mask and having them wear them like this. What is this? What is this? Who is the head coach? Not one person on this team is wearing the mask correctly. I agree with this post where he says this is the early nominee for the dumbest thing of 2021. I know it's early. I know we're only 5 days in, but y'all keep track. If we should do the dumbest awards at the end of the year. I'm with Hunter. I'm nominating this coach because this is
in the
ridiculous.
archive for it.
Yes. Write that down. Make a mental note. All right. So look, before we check out of here, you guys, you know what time it is. It's time to talk about what we not gonna do. Because I think Megan can get an honorable mention for releasing those, and so can that last coach. But we're gonna get into some good what we not gonna do. I know I'm always telling you kind of like, the bad stuff, but what we not gonna do is sleep on some of the goodness that is going around, especially in the NFL. We talked about it a little bit yesterday with Drew Brees getting the ball to Emmanuel Sanders to make sure he could get his $500,000 bonus. This kind of thing to me is such a big deal because the teams, especially this late in the season, they don't really have an incentive to go out of their way to get you the ball so you can get your bonus, because most of the fate for most teams have been decided, way before that last game of the regular season has been played. So I think it's just really dope to see something like that, which Drew Brees and Sean Payton did for Emmanuel Sanders with my Saints. But this next one I love so much because y'all know I love me some Russell Wilson, and he did a similar thing. And it was weird though. So if you were watching that game, you probably didn't know what was going on because the game was over. They only had 30 seconds left. They just needed to take a knee. It was 26-23. Seahawks had already beat the 49ers. Just take a knee, let the clock run out, shake hands, and get off the field. But instead, Russell Wilson calls a play, and he calls a play, and he passes the ball to David Moore, and he gained 5 yards before going down. And then on the next play, they took a knee and let the clock wind down, and then they got the victory. So, again, when you were watching the game, you probably thought it was weird, but I'm going to let Russell tell you himself why he did it.
Yeah, we called that play because David had $100,000 if he gets that catch. So, it's a blessing to be able to, help his family and his daughter and all that stuff. So that's it's part of the game. We wanted to get him that catch, and so we were able to dial that up for him that last play.
I love this because he actually said he tried to get him the ball earlier, but it just didn't work out. And then he realized, right when they were going to go and possibly take a knee, then he was like, oh, crap, I didn't get him the ball. Let me do this. And I know $100,000 doesn't sound like a lot, especially when we're talking about these athletes' salaries that are ridiculous. But David Moore, he's not one of those athletes that's out there making millions and millions of dollars. His base salary is actually $825,000. He got a $75,000 signing bonus. So this $100,000 increases his income by 12%. Like Russ said, he has I think it's a wife, might be a girlfriend, I'm not sure, but he has a partner and they have a child, and I love it. I love this spirit of giving. So what we're not going to do, I just hit my microphone. So what we're not going to do is miss out on saying, that a boy to my Saints, that a boy to Russell and the Seahawks for making sure that they had an opportunity to bless one of their teammates, because I love this. I wish we saw this 32 times, but we only saw it twice. But Britt is going to let me know right now. She says there's actually more spirit of giving going around that you want to tell us about. Right, Britt?
Yes, ma'am, because guess what today is, guys? It is our first of the year, Tag Team Tuesday. It's Tag Team back again. Let's begin. This is Party over there. Yes, guys. Tag Team Tuesday for What We Not Gon Do and Britt's Take. So stay tuned. We will have them coming to you guys every single week. This is going to be our first one. The first one has hurt me a little bit. It hurts me a little bit to do this because I am going to have to love on somebody, congratulate somebody that I don't want to. I don't want to do this, Jackie. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do this.
Who is it?
Tom Brady. You a good teammate, my guy. You a good teammate, my guy. So Tom Brady, yes, I'm saying some good things about Tom Brady here. Record it, take a picture of it, whatever you got to do. It's not going to last very long. but I'm going to talk about how good of a teammate Tom Brady is. So we know in the past Tom Brady has taken pay cuts on pay cuts on pay cuts in order to win Super Bowls and bring players into the team so they can win. You know, a lot of players, you know, want all the money themselves and they don't leave anything else for anybody else. And they don't necessarily win championships, but Tom Brady wanted to win championships and he wanted to spread the love and make sure his teammates got paid as well. The teammates that were protecting him, the teammates, you know, that were on that defensive side of the ball. And he always took pay cuts because of this. This is something known about Tom Brady. I still never liked the man, but that was a known fact about Tom Brady. And I still don't like Tom Brady, but he did something very great this weekend. Week 17, the Bucs were taking on the Falcons. The Bucs had already secured a spot in the playoffs. So Tom Brady and crew will be headed to the playoffs. But there was a guy who had not secured his bonus yet either, and that was Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was actually a ways away, 11 passes away from securing his bonus. So he was supposed to get 45 passes in order to receive an extra $250,000 for the year. We all know he's playing on a small salary because he was brought in later. People were just trying to see if Antonio Brown was that still same Antonio Brown, so he didn't have this monster contract. So that $250 is a decent chunk. That is a quarter of what he made for the year. I think he only signed for $1 million. So that was a good chunk of it. So he had 11 passes to go. He was supposed to get to 45. He was at 34 at the beginning of the game. Okay, this game was, something that the Bucs didn't necessarily need to worry about. They already knew that they were going to the playoffs, whatever the case is. We go all the way down, first 57 and a half minutes of the game. Antonio Brown gets 8 passes, 8 legit passes, right? 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 more to go with only 2 minutes left in the game. It was like 2:14 left in the game. He's not going to catch 3 passes in 2 minutes. Come on, guys, right? Like, that's not going to happen. And guess what? The Bucs just needed to run the clock down. So they're also not going to just be silly and just keep doing all this crazy stuff. But Tom Brady had an idea and decided to do these pop passes, 3 of them, in order to make sure Antonio Brown got his paycheck and got his bonus money, which I think is so cool. Like, he literally basically put him in kind of as like, it was basically like a running back receiver hybrid. So he'd kind of just go a little bit outside and then he'd just kind of pop him the ball, and those counted as passes. And he did that 3 times at the end of the game to make sure Antonio Brown got his money, which I thought was so dope of Tom Brady to do, because it was when you do look at it, it is so silly. It's just so silly. But it's like, for him to do that, we saw a couple situations like this over the weekend, and usually we know these guys are taken out of the games once they get close to getting those bonuses, because the teams don't want to pay them. Like, a lot of people's contracts have these incentives in them, like, if you make it to the playoffs, we'll give you X amount of dollars. If you make it to whatever. And that's all kind of included in what they try to have as their guaranteed money or part of their contract. And a lot of times coaches, teams, GMs, whatever, they don't want to give these guys this money. Right. So it's like crazy that, and Tom Brady knows, he's like, listen, I run all this here. I brought everybody in here, and I'm going to get this guy paid. So to have that moment where he's like, I don't care what y'all say, Antonio's getting paid here. Oh, you want me to just do a little run pass? Okay, just run out a little bit and I'll pop it to you, so then at least it's considered a pass. But Jackie,
I love this. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's just like you said, most of the time we've seen it. If you've watched football for any length of time, you've seen it when guys get close to hitting that incentive mark, and then all of a sudden they're getting less playing time because the team doesn't want to pay them. So for us to be talking about 3 different people, now they are 3 star quarterbacks, so there could be something to say about that, you know what I mean? So I'm sure Patrick Mahomes could do it if he wanted to, but I don't think Ryan Tannehill could do it. So it's just one of those things where I love this, though, just to see that they're going to make it makes sense for these guys because, like I said, with the Reggie Bush thing, you need to get every dime you can get. And for these quarterbacks to be going out there and saying to their coaches and owners, like, yo, my guy, it's time we get him paid. We're going to get him this incentives. I think this is so beautiful. I love this.
I do
love it.
And granted, like you said, not everybody is able to do this, but the guys that can did it. And to see them doing stuff like that, that is so dope to see. Like even, I mean, I can say so many things that I don't like about Tom Brady, but this is one thing. Like he is like consistently, everybody's always said that he is a good teammate and he'll bring his crew with him everywhere. Like I mean, Gronk didn't
he let
in
Antonio
the NFL
Brown
again. You know,
he let Antonio Brown live with him.
And he barely played with Antonio Brown a short amount of time when he was with the Patriots. So to even like have like, okay, let's give Antonio Brown a chance. Just bring him in, coach. Come on. Like and knowing Tom Brady has that power and then using that power to like help other teammates in that situation. I thought that was so dope. Russell Wilson, that's definitely like a Russell Wilson thing to do. I like Russell Wilson, so of course he's going to do something dope like that. But Tom Brady, I gotta give it to him, and I give it to him, and so there you go.
Tom Brady. Look, we're both just excited to give you this accolade, right? Like we never are, but it's like, yay, Tom Brady. Yeah. I saw y'all in the chat said we just hate on him because he wins. No, we hate on him because he cheats. But in this instance, excited for Tom Brady.
He gets away with cheating too much. That's why I don't like him. Okay.
Exactly.
But no, that's dope. I hope we see more of this in the NFL. I think that is so cool. I know even there were situations like my ex-boyfriend when he was in college, he was 2 yards away from breaking the rushing record at the school, and the coach took him out of the game, and he didn't play the whole fourth quarter. And I was like, give him his 2 yards. But at the time, he didn't realize it, but I'm watching it on TV, and everybody's talking about it. And they're like, oh, he's 2 yards away from breaking the rushing yard at the school. Like, if he just would have got one more yard, he would have tied it. But, like, I'm like, I guess the guy that, like, had the title, like, had it for so long, and the coach didn't want that broken. And I was just like, this is so weird. Like, have your player break the record. Like, why not? But I don't know.
Glad to see this happen.
So you guys,
our first Tag Team Tuesday, and we both agree. What?
And we both matching, wearing turtleneck Tuesday.
Hey, we can't make that a thing because that might get hot in the summer months, but we can make it a thing in winter.
Okay, so we are going into 2020 with 2 new members of the Tom Brady fandom. 2021, I meant. Two new members of the Tom Brady fandom.
Don't go that far. Don't go that far.
No.
Don't go that far. Way too far. Way too far.
All right, you guys. Well, let's close out the show today. It's been so fun doing the Gray Gal Turtleneck Tuesday with you all. We are going to be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so make sure you tune in, tap the bell for notifications, subscribe to our channel so you always see our videos. Leave a comment below, share it with your friends, give us a thumbs up. You know you love us, you guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Tag team back again. I don't even know